Hey, I'm here with a list of demands. Follow the show wherever you listen. Subscribe, share, like, and comment on the show on YouTube. Follow any and all of my social media as well. All of the links are in the description. And finally, if you're a real fan, which most of you aren't, head on over to buymeacoffee.com, use the link in my description, and buy me a goddamn coffee. It supports the show, which is me. So you're supporting me. Now that you've successfully ignored that, go ahead and enjoy today's episode. Hello, everybody. How are we doing? Lovely to sit here and talk to you all. I am fucking exhausted. I had a hell of, I guess, one day last week. Sometimes you don't realize that, like, one day you can do so much in it that it feels like a fucking... I mean, all of last week I was pretty goddamn busy now that I think about it. Yeah, I was busy as hell last week. I don't know why I'm saying one day. I had a full goddamn week, and I sit here at 9:11 exactly p.m. on Sunday, the 13th, ready to go the fuck to sleep. But I forgot that I didn't forget about the podcast, but I as soon as I got in my car when I left work, because that's where I was before this, I realized that I think I left my window open in my apartment, and I was right, with the heat off. So normally I live like a gavone in this place because I don't pay for utilities, so I could give a fuck less. I'll pass that right on to my lovely landlord. So normally I'll have the window open, and I'll either have the heat or the AC on. Now, obviously, it's cold, so no AC, but I will have that heat cranked like a motherfucker. And it was actually really nice out yesterday. Saturday, and Saturday day and night it was nice. So I slept with my window open, but this morning, as I was rising from my fucking crypt that is this futon that I'm staring at, It's like a big coffin. I feel like Dracula because I don't sleep very well on it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. A lot of the time I don't. And I got about 6 hours of sleep and was just groggily, what would the word be? Groggingly? That's a good word. Groggyingly? I don't know. Who gives a fuck? I was really tired walking around my apartment getting dressed. And, you know, I got to smoke. I got to smoke some reefer. So I got up a little earlier than necessary. And because I have a whole routine in the morning. You got to have a routine in the morning. Whatever it is, however stupid it is, it's that's what you got to. You got to have something. So for me, the first thing I like to do is immediately get drugs in my system. So I roll out of my bed and I go right to the bathroom and I start the water going and I sit on the toilet and I piss. And in the morning, I always sit down to piss because it's early. And like I said, I don't sleep very well. So I sit down, I piss, and the apartment's nice. It's warm. And I shut the heat off. I had the heat off because it was toasty. And no, that's not what happened. I didn't even have the heat on Saturday. I went to bed without the heat on. That's how nice it was. That's how fucking beautiful it was on Saturday, which is it's a double-edged sword, right? Waking up on a Saturday morning and it's 72 outside when in the second week of November. I mean, that, you know, it's not the most encouraging thing. It's nice in the moment. You're like, wow, I can drive to work with my windows down. I can blast the music like I like to do. And I can, you know, start my day off right. But then you remember, oh, wait, 10 years ago, it was snowing. 20 years ago, before that, it was snowing even more. And now I can effectively run on the beach barefoot and be, you know, maybe a little chilly, maybe a sweatshirt. On the beach, I could run up and down it, you know? And you know, it is nice. You can't deny. Yes, maybe it's a little unnerving. Maybe it's something we can't explain, right? The whole climate thing is something we think we have a lot of answers on. And I'm not someone saying that, I don't believe in climate change or global warming or whatever. I think that's a term that we named something that naturally occurs on the planet. Now, whether or not we as humans have influenced that, that's the big question. Can we do anything about it, right? And I personally don't think we can, not because we aren't able to band together and do something. I mean, that won't happen either, of course. But mainly because I don't think that what we're doing to the planet is, I don't know if we have as much of an influence as we think. I think that we like to make things about us very often. Very often. We like to make things about us. Just recently, there was this 10,000-year-old piece of art, like rock cave art, whatever. It's starting to disappear, and everyone is saying it's because of the environment and what we're doing. It's almost as if 10,000 years isn't long enough for something to exist. I mean, the fact that the rock that the rock that the painting is on is still around is magnificent. Let alone the painting itself. So how about we stop trying to make everything about a cause, everything about, don't get me wrong, you need causes, I guess, right? You need people to do something about things, right? Everybody decides that there are things that need to be done, so let's group together and make commercials and have donations and sell this cause. Eventually, the main goal of a cause for a lot of people is to sell it to a nice big corporation, and then you'll really get people behind it, because now they'll be buying T-shirts and they'll be buying merchandise for the cause, which is good, right? That's what we need. That's how you're going to get the people who you're trying to save. That's how you're going to get them help, is by charging people for a product that you say where some of the money of it will be going to said charity, said cause, and making that number incredibly low, because you also need to have some nice things. But my point with this really, really, really old painting, I mean, 10,000 years, guys. There's not much that's around from 10,000 years ago. There's not much. There might be some scriptures, there might be some structures. Even then, that's controversial, right? Göbekli is, I don't think that's the whole name, but it's this really ancient structure that was supposedly around 11,000 or 12,000 years ago. Something crazy, right? And there's all these theories that the Sphinx, the Egyptians found the Sphinx and didn't build it. There's other pyramids and structures and evidence of societies that were once here, and they're no longer here. But basically my point is it's very hard to find something from 10,000 years ago. And the fact that we have something like this, right? We have a piece of ancient history that we can keep for as long as we possibly can, and it has been 10,000 years, and there's been people who've seen it. I'm sure a lot of people, if not, people are hearing about it through this story. All the media outlets that will use this story to get people to band together behind a cause that they will forget about after reading the headline, because that's all they'll read. I mean, how crazy is it to think that something that was made probably out of a very primitive style ink by very primitive people that has been around for 10,000 years, how ignorant, how narcissistic of us to say that we're the cause of it disappearing. I mean, what the fuck is that? What the fuck kind of shit is that? Sorry there, guys. A little weird technical difficulty, the new setup, whatever. Things are fragile. But like I was saying, how conceited of us to think that we have any influence on something that has been around for 10,000 years and is now disappearing. And then to say on an even greater scale, to apply that same thinking to this ancient fucking rock that we're all living on. For us to say that we're the ones that are contributing to any sort of change in the planet in terms of nature, it is a little it's a little far-fetched. Okay, that's my stance on it. It's a little far-fetched. There is evidence that we are fucking things up, I suppose, but there also is evidence that we aren't. Now, have I read deeply on this topic? No. I am an asshole who is on here to try to talk about things in a way that I see fit. And if that means doing no research and just making a blanket statement based on my own personal philosophies, then that's what the fuck I am going to do. And but why did I even get on this entire topic? I started off with work. It devolved into all of this. I don't know. I can't say that I care very much, so we're going to keep the show rolling. This past weekend, I went up to Wilton, Maine, which for those of you that don't know, it is this little town in the Forgotten Hills of Maine. It's not super north, but it's hillbilly goat fucker territory for sure. It's like the beginning of it. You know, if you guys listen back to when I was in Portland, that podcast with Raph, you hear me say that we are here, we're in Portland, we're in Old Orchard Beach. Anything north of this is just hillbilly goat fuckers the whole rest of the way. And that was one of the towns I was in. I was in a town where there's, I think, like 3,300 people. It's not even a full street. It's like an intersection. And that's where the things are. There's a couple things in the intersection. There's a park that I spent time in, and because I got there real early. Now, this was my first time, I suppose, going on like a far trip to another state to go do a show. I know a while ago, I think I had said that I went to D.C., and I don't remember if I had cleared it up that I did not go to D.C. for that show. Just for you motherfuckers who remember, wait, didn't you say he went to D.C.? Yeah, I didn't actually go. This one, I drove 3.5 hours from 4.5 hours from Providence. But I split it up. So on Thursday, I did 2 spots. I did a spot in fucking Southern Rhode Island, and then I did an open mic in Providence, Rhode Island. And then I drove from basically Providence to Salem, New Hampshire, which is about an hour and a half, where I stayed at a Red Roof Inn that I stayed in as a child. I went there with my dad one time for just like an end of the summer thing. It was in August, and we went to Six Flags on one day, and then we drove up to Salem, which wasn't very far, and we stayed in this Red Roof Inn, and my dad had no idea. He's like, fuck, we got to find somewhere. And we pulled off, and we went to this little inn. At the time, it was very small. I remember it being one building, pretty much. And we stayed. That's where we were staying, and we went and explored Salem. Went to Canopy Lake Park, and we went to Lake Winnipesaukee. Fun Spot, the biggest arcade in the East Coast, or some shit like that. I don't know if that's true. I don't even know if that's what their slogan is. But you can remember it that way if you'd like. And it was actually a really good weekend. And I look at pictures from that time. I don't know if it was a weekend. It might have been a little bit more than a week, because it was summer vacation. But anyway, it was a good trip. And we went to this diner down the street from the Red Roof Inn called Sammy J's. And I remember doing that because we did that a couple times while we were in Salem. And it was a fun time. And I remember looking at pictures of myself, and I was such a fat fucking pig. I mean, I'm in okay shape. I think I'm in Terrible shape, but I could be way worse off. And the pig part, I mean, look at my big fat nose. But when I was fucking small, dude, I had no regard for anything. I just ate like a fat goddamn animal. I was a fucking roly-poly, bro. I was huge. I was so fat. They should have chained me to a tree and kept me outside in the winter and until I lost, 40 or 50 pounds. I was huge, and I was short. I was so tiny. Not width, but I was short. I was, and I was just this big, fucking obese child. And, I don't know why that has to be included in this, actual nice event that happened in my life. It's almost like I have to include some terrible aspect. I can't just say that it was a good weekend or a good trip. I have to say that I was a soon to be diabetic. If I didn't do something within the next couple of years, roly poly ass kid walking around Canopy Lake Park with a large soda and a few chicken tendies down the gullet. But it was interesting because everything kind of came full circle that night that I stayed in Salem, which was Friday, and I drove. That was only like an hour and a half from Providence, so I cut the drive up. I got there probably 1 a.m, and I asked the guy, whatever, how much is it going to be? And I remember my dad, when we went years and years ago, it was cheap. I remember him saying it was cheap. I don't know what cheap means. I don't know what that is, but I was charged $120 to stay at the Red Roof Inn. What the fuck is going on in this country that you can't get a cheap room, a room under $100, that's off of the highway? This place you could see it from the highway. You get off the highway, you make a loop, and you're right you see it. You're going to tell me that I got to spend $120 to stay in a Red Roof Inn? What? I went to that place not to, get nostalgic or whatever. It was two reasons. One, I knew it would be there, right? And it wasn't very far. I knew it would be there. And two, I thought it would be cheap. The Red Roof Inn. What the fuck? This is supposed to be some little thing. And then I pull up to it, and it's huge. It's got like 2 or 3 more buildings. It's way bigger than when I stayed there. And, it was a good bed. I slept like shit still. It was a huge bed, and I still just couldn't sleep. It's almost like my body just wants me to keel over from exhaustion. That's why I force myself to do all these things. But I slept, and I woke up, and I realized I forgot my toothbrush and whatever. And so I went the rest of that day, because I wasn't about to buy a toothbrush. I just spent $120 on this fucking room. And then as I'm doing the rest of the drive up later on, I remember seeing all these other motels, and I'm like, fuck, look at these little shitty motels I could have stayed in. I could have stayed in a place where a woman gave birth in the bathtub. I could have stayed in a place that had permanent cigarette stench and a guy was strangled to death on the bed. I could have done these things. And for a fraction of probably half, I probably could have paid $60 to sleep in a room that would have given me a rash. But c'est la vie. Things happen. Maybe later on. Maybe another time when I take the trip out again. But Red Roof Inn, woke up, went down to Sammy J's, or knew it was there. I was like, wow, this is good. Sammy J's, still cheap. Still cheap if you're in Salem. I got, what did I get? Fucking an orange juice, a coffee, an egg, sausage, and cheese sandwich, and a cup of fruit. Motherfucker was like $12. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You can keep those ribeye steak and eggs and the fucking lobster and ragout omelets. You can keep that shit. This is Sammy J's in Salem, New Hampshire, you dumb motherfuckers. But anyway, from there I had like a 3-hour drive all the way up to Wilton. A bunch of tolls, another stupid fucking group of people. If people in this country weren't so desperate for jobs and desperate for money, because that's how the system works here, the government would spend money on building tolls And people would look at that shit and say, fuck you. If people were smart and didn't need jobs, didn't need money, everyone would look at the idea of a toll and the fact that there would be employees taking care of these tolls and upholding the fee that you have to drive your car, not even into another state. Sometimes just randomly. Here's 225. Give this to the fucking old lady, and people wouldn't take that job. Nobody would take that job. I had my rant about meter maids. Now we're talking about people who work at tolls. Another group of sorry motherfuckers. And I'm sorry for saying that. If you work at a toll, you're just fucking with people. A toll is a way for the government to make money while fucking with people. Just like parking tickets. It's the same shit. Parking tickets and tolls are fucking cousins. And the people who do them are I won't say the same thing for the toll people. I really laid into those meter maids, and I'll do it again if I have to. They're some of the shittiest fucking people you've ever met, and it's a terrible job, just like toll booth operators. And it sucks. It sucks that you need to pull over to a booth and hand a person money just to continue driving. I'm not already paying enough to keep to upkeep on this car, plus the gas, plus everything. Now you just gotta fuck with me while I know where I'm going. There's somewhere I'm going. I'm going somewhere, and you want to stop me and ask me for money for what? Just because you can. That is literally just because the fucking government can do that. We can get these. These people drive all over the place all the time. If they want to go past this point, that's $250. Sorry, that's $250, and we'll raise it on them. We will raise it on them. If more people, if we realize people really we'll raise it on them. And what we're going to do is on the other side of that toll is we're going to build a big corporation, a big office building, maybe a hospital or an office building, where it'll be thousands of people having to go to work and drive past that toll. That's what we're going to do. The toll will be into a metropolitan area. There's tolls on the bridges in New York. They're double digits sometimes. To drive in that shitty fucking state, to drive in that shitty fucking city, there's tolls on the bridges of New York just to sit in traffic, just to take incredibly long. It's already super long anywhere you need to go in your car if you're in New York City. Now you're going to fuck with us and put a toll just to slow shit down even more so y'all can make the money. It's just stupid. There's no justification to have a toll. What is it? Does that go to what? Does that go to helping the highway? Maybe it does. Some of it does. Not all of it. Definitely not all of it. Some of it goes to the people who voted to get that in power. The people who signed off on the bills, the people who lobbied, the whole thing. We need a toll here. We need to we need a little bit more money. We need a toll. It's just stupid. So I get to Wilton. The show's at 7 p.m., and I tried to fuck around in Salem for as long as I could, but there's nothing to do. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to drive up there. And I got there around 3, I think. Fuck me. I got there around 3 o'clock. I should have brought some water with me. My throat is burning. We'll hit the Nick stick instead. Anyway, I get there. It's like 3 o'clock, maybe even before that. And I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do? And I find out there's a park in the area, a park that's right next to a lake. So I went and I ventured into the woods and I brought my book and I smoked some dope. And it was hours and hours and hours before the show. And I'm like, fuck, dude, what am I going to do? 4 hours. So I end up sitting by the lake for about an hour, reading, talking on the phone, whatever. And then I'm like, all right, let's walk back. And I get lost in the fucking woods. And the sun's starting to go down. And this is Maine, okay? This is dark, fucking woodsy, rural Maine. This is where that group of what's the word? Inbred cannibals cannibal serial killers, that group of guys that are in the Red Dead. If you've played Red Dead Redemption 2, there's this group of people, there's a mission that you go on. It's this inbred family who eats and murders everybody, and they live out in the mountains, in caves and shit. And this is where I was. So I was like, fuck. But I made it out, and I got to my car with plenty of time to spare, really. I just didn't want to get lost. And the lake was beautiful. It was so quiet. It was great. And while I was sitting there, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, this is really nice, but I want to be in a place where I can at least try to get some pussy. You know? Like, I could see myself living in a bunch of different, like, I could totally live in a place like that, but not after I've lived not until I've lived some life. You know, like, if this shit doesn't work out for me, the comedy and the podcast, so many years down the road, and, I settle down, I'd like to be in a nice small, not as small as that fucking place, but I'd like to be somewhere where there's, some nice, there's quiet and there's shit like that. But right now, I am not interested in that whatsoever. There's, I already live in this bullshit, economically dilapidated town of New London, and there's already nothing to do here. There's nothing at all to do here. So, and this is a place where people live. There's all type of stuff going on, but nothing to do. Right? There's nothing to do. No homeless people out in Wilton, Maine. No, none of them. None of them are there. None of them go to the cold middle part of Maine to be homeless. I think that the biggest fear of global warming for most people shouldn't be your children not knowing about snow. Shouldn't be that. Shouldn't be the worry of the oceans rising or species dying out of all different, that shouldn't matter. What should really matter you is the decline your neighborhoods are going to see when more people can be homeless because it's nicer out. Like if it's beautiful in Maine, in Wilton, Maine, year round, there's going to be homeless. That's why people go to L.A. Well, they make it real easy to be homeless in L.A. But even barring that, at least it's sunny all the time. It's nice. The weather's beautiful. You can sleep outside if you really wanted to. But in Maine, in the cold places, there's no homeless people. When Alaska is 82 degrees, guys, there's going to be some homeless migrating there from Canada. Canada won't be affected, of course, because they won't allow that, right? Trudeau will not allow something like that to happen. He will bar global warming from leaving its place of origin and venturing out and doing anything. So they'll be fine, but all their homeless will eventually waddle off into Alaska. But yes, I do think that is that's a big worry. You don't want the aesthetics of your neighborhood to go down. You want people who take care of themselves. You don't want people who have shitty cars, right? You don't want people who have junkers in their driveway. You want to make sure they take care of their lawns. You don't want to see people with old vinyl, right? People with shitty shingles on their roof, old shingles. They got to get their roof done. You don't want to see that. Let alone the droves of homeless people that will now feel freer in a world where cold doesn't exist. Cold does not. Maybe they'll get attention at that point. But maybe at that point, they're just asking for, like at that point, it's okay. Some of y'all were homeless before. Now you're pushing it because it's nice out. Okay? You don't need to come around here. And I think that is where people are forgetting. That will be a major problem if we don't turn things around. If we don't figure something out, homeless people will just take to the suburbs. There's going to be too many to contain. They're going to go everywhere. All, that precious little park that you guys love, that the kids can all go to. It's in the center of the town. All the kids come out of the one middle school, and they all run there and play basketball and softball, and they run around. There's a little playground filled with homeless people, filled with them, shitting on the ground, drinking out of brown paper bags, leaving needles everywhere, fucking. They're all going to be doing filthy shit. And it's all because the weather has just gotten warmer and people just feel comfortable doing it. So I think we should change our focus to saving the planet and the animals and the whole thing to making sure where we live is good. Making sure where we play stays up to code, stays up to par. You follow what I'm saying? Stays up to standard. And there ain't no standard when the homeless are hobbling around, panhandling, asking for money, holding up cardboard signs that say, I'm a veteran, pay me. Sorry, brother, we don't do that kind of thing around here. We don't do that. We're old money, okay? We're old money. When you have money like us in when you have generational money like we do, you're barking up the wrong tree, brother. Sorry. But the sheer power, it'll be like walking dead. It'll just be zombies of homeless, just in droves, taking over neighborhoods. And eventually these people are going to be at wit's end. And they're going to move to, I don't know, somewhere else, I guess. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And I think that's where the focus needs to shift if we're going to talk about the environment. But Wilton, I was hanging out at the park, and around 5 o'clock, I start going over my act, what I want to do. And I do that until about, I fuck around in my car, smoke weed, until about 6. Then I go to the venue, I sit down, I get some food, I grab a beer, I'm chilling. It's cold as fuck in there for some reason. Ambition Brewery, the smallest brewery in Maine, okay? Most places, saying that they're the smallest isn't necessarily a brag. It can be, right, in this hipster minimalist culture that people like to say that they're part of. I have a small house. Well, yeah, okay. You have a small house in the woods that has a Wi-Fi hookup. It's got electric heat. It's got a fucking, you got a jacuzzi in the back of it. You got a big Ford truck that you can use to have your bonfires outside with. You got a plasma TV that's insulated. The floors are made of a very special wood you only get in Japan. The furniture is handmade. I mean, we can say minimalist all we want, but until you're living out in the woods as a bushwhacker, just get that nonsense out of your head. You have a small house, you live in or what about the people that live in vans? They have the tricked out vans nowadays. Those are sick. Those are really cool, actually. And I would love to do something like that. But for them to say, oh, we're living on the road, we're living the minimalist lifestyle, you're doing it in a pretty flashy way. Again, I bring up the homeless. Those guys are living a minimalist lifestyle. If you want to live minimalist, go follow those motherfuckers. Work a job, have all the money in the bank, but live like them. Sleep in a dumpster under a newspaper. Do something like that. Then we'll see what happens. We like to attach these phrases, and we forget where they fucking come from. We like to use these words. We forget where they come from. Minimalist? You're gonna tell me you're a minimalist? You who lives in a fucking $30,000 Sprinter van. That's almost more pretentious than a house. Okay, that's almost more pretentious. You live in a thing that people will pay similar money to live in a trailer for, right? 30 grand. Some people they'll live in a trailer, and that's a house. It's a big space. It's a bigger space than a fucking van. Now you take that kind of money and condense it, highly concentrated even, into one piece of machinery. That thing is going to be pretty goddamn good, especially when you say that you're going to live in it, and you're like, yeah, throw the kitchen sink at it, make it, bunk beds, Wi-Fi, water purifier. I can shit in here. I can take showers. I can fuck. I can do anything. This place is great, right? And I can drive. It does whatever the fuck I want, and this is where I live. We only call it minimalist because people live in homes and drive cars. So now you're combining the two. Ooh. Go sleep in a tent. Sleep in a tent before you want to talk about minimalist. What was my point with all this? Where did I even get here? Oh, the smallest. Yeah, smallest brewery in Maine. That's where it was. It was a nice little place. The beer I had was good. It was a stout. I like a good stout. And then I did a show for about 12 people, 12 paying customers. They all paid $10 to watch, how many of us? 4 plus a host. So 5 comics. And they were great. They really were. They were great. I felt good. I did 10 minutes. I felt real good about it. I slipped up here and there, but of course, you're never going to be perfect. I got laughs. I made the people laugh. I thought I did well. I definitely didn't do the worst out of everybody. I'll just leave it at that. But it was just good. It was a fun time. And, some of you guys are, and I'm getting paid for it. I don't know what. I got to get Venmo. It's probably going to be $20 or something. But you're probably listening and saying, Antonio, you drove 5.5 hours, 4.5 hours from Providence to do 10 minutes in the smallest brewery in the state of Maine, which is known for nothing except lobsters and Stephen, what the fuck's his name? Stephen King. I almost said Stephen Hawking. Stephen King. Those are the two things, okay, that Maine is known for. And you drove all the way up there to do 10 minutes for $20 in front of nobody. And you're saying that it was good? Yes, it was great. It was great. It's a part of my gig. It's what I'm supposed to do. It's my job. I can't pretend and I can't pretend that this is my job. I have to treat it like my job. I have to. That's what anybody that is trying to do something creative or something on their own, you have to treat it like a job from the very fucking beginning. You have to take it seriously, no matter how stupid it is, no matter how bleak the outcome is. I still do this fucking podcast twice a week. It's changed so much from the very beginning of this show. You guys the people who've been there since the beginning can attest to that. You've listened to me grow. You've watched me grow. And we're going to keep going. We're going to keep doing the thing. And I appreciate you guys that listen. But I've done nothing with this show, right? Relatively, right? Other than get bet. I mean, it's a great workout for comedy. I've gotten some good bits from this show. It's something that keeps me regimented in a way. Like I need to get these 2 things out every week. It's a good workout for even when if I can't get to an open mic or whatever, I'll use this as like a supplemental workout for comedy. Obviously, nothing compares to getting in front of people, but this is good. This is a good second place, and I almost use it more for that than I do to entertain you guys, which should definitely raise my viewership now that you guys know that. But I've been doing this in a way that would be very similar if I was making money off of it. And the hope is that the work going into it will eventually, on the other end, give me some kind of results, the results I'm looking for. And that's how anybody should do anything, I think. Now, some of you guys are out there saying, man, you couldn't get me to do something not for money. If it wasn't for a friend or it wasn't for, it wasn't for a family member helping them out, if I'm not, anything I'm doing, I want to get paid, right? That's why people don't go to the gym. That's one reason, right? Because money's a big motivator. And if you could be, if you're more motivated by money than you are anything, you're going to work like a dog and not feel like going to the gym. And that gym membership is slowly going to fade off before you cut it off, and that's it. No more gym. That's why people can't do hobbies. They don't want to, not only because they don't want to be a beginner at things, which is where most people lie, right? Nobody wants to be a white belt ever again. Once they find something that they want to stick to, they stick to it, and that's the only thing that they ever care about. Which, Jesus, what a miserable fucking life that is. Oh, my God. Oh, you pick one thing? Oh, Jesus, and just do it forever? I mean, yeah, you do need that. You need a couple things that you're dedicated to and you plan on getting better at and whatever. But you need to do other shit, too. You need to be a beginner every once in a while, you know? You need to find different shit. At least I think you do. And what I say is law. But, you know, people also don't try new things and get new hobbies because there's no money in it, right? I'm a grown-ass man. Fuck I look like taking guitar lessons. Fuck I look like trying to learn the piano. I'm a grown-ass fucking man. I got to get to work. I got to get to work and then get home to watch Netflix and lay on my fucking sloppy wife because she's had 3 kids already and fucking shuffle around and maybe I'll ejaculate. Maybe I'll get my dick up. But I need to work, okay? That's what I need to do. I don't have time to do this other shit. And I get that too. I understand. It's fine. But what I'm saying is a response to some of the people who listen to what I'm doing and they're like, you're dumb, you're fucking around, and that's fine. It looks like I'm fucking around. To the people who know me but don't really know me, but know me more than the people who only know me from this show know, or probably assume that what I'm doing is stupidness, right? And this is, you know, this is just assumption, right? This is making me sound like a douchebag. But it's very easy to look at someone that's doing something like I am and saying that guy is, what the fuck's he doing? He's going to be a comedian? He's going to do a podcast? I mean, what the fuck? Does he have a job? What does he do for work? And then when I tell people, no, this is what people say, what do you do? I say, I'm a comedian. I'm a comedian and I have a podcast. And then I'll, you know, say, I work at Mohegan Sun to, pay bills, make ends meet. But my main gig, I'm a comedian and I do a podcast. That's my main shit. I don't allow these tasks that I do just to pay bills to define me, or to define an aspect of me. Because I don't want to say that, oh, I'm a comedian. I'm a person. I'm a human. I do a bunch of things. I'm not just a podcaster. I'm not just a comedian. But when people say, oh, what do you do? What do you do for work? I'm a comedian. When people ask me that question and they want me to define what I do there, that's what I do. I'll never say I'm a server in a restaurant. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I am that. But I don't admit it to people in a way that would be conducive to it being. I wouldn't say it to people to make them think that that's my livelihood, because it pays the bills, but it's not. It's not what I do. I do it, but it's not what I do. Like, I barely work at the fucking casino, guys. I worked this weekend. I worked on this weekend. I got real lucky. I did very little work and got a lot of money. Sometimes you find cheat codes. Sometimes things you have a good, there's something that just happens, right? Like, I won on Friday. I was worried because I spent so much money on this main trip, more money than I wanted to. And I was like, fuck, I spent too much. I want to put some more on my credit card. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. I still want to be able to have whatever. And Saturday, I woke up and I was fucking exhausted from the trip from Maine. I drove 6.5 hours, sorry. It was supposed to be 5.5 to back home here in New London. And then it rained. I got caught in a brutal rainstorm in Maine, so it added another hour. So 6.5 hours. I rolled into my apartment at like 2:45 in the morning, And I laid there, and I'm like, fuck, dude, I got to get up tomorrow. I got to go to work. I should have gave the shift away. And I go to work, and I get cut. After I was there for 2 hours. I had one table, and they gave me a $70 tip. Okay, 2 hours, $70, $35 an hour. I get to go home and have the rest of the day off. I go to sleep. Okay, I'm exhausted. I get home. It's probably 2 o'clock, 2:30, maybe even 3. And I'm like, I am going the fuck back to bed. I'm fucking tired. That's it. I made $70, came home, went to sleep, woke up at like 6 o'clock. I slept for like 3 goddamn hours. I slept for like 3 hours, guys. In the middle of the day, on a Saturday, a day that I normally work. One of the busiest days that I work. I mean, I only work 3 days a week now. And one of them is Tuesday, and then Saturday afternoon's busy because of college football, right? And then Sunday's, of course, busiest day, NFL. But listen, I got to go home, go to sleep, wake up at 6 o'clock, fuck around, and guess what's on? The biggest UFC event of the year. Right? Arguably the biggest one. I mean, after watching it in retrospect, it might have been the best one of the year. Such a good fucking card this past weekend. But I woke up and I'm like, I'm totally going to watch the fights. I need to put bets in, right? I got a bonus from Mohegan Sun last week. It was like $135. And I put it in my savings. And this past weekend, I'm like, we're putting that fucking money to work. We're putting that money to work, goddammit. So I got on my DraftKings account, and I got in the shower. It was almost like a morning routine. The morning routine I told you guys about before, I never finished it. I never told you guys the whole thing. I went on the crazy tangent. Normally, let me just go back to that, because I did want to tell you guys. You have to start your day with drugs, right? For some people, it's coffee. For some people, it's other things. I do the coffee too, of course, unless I'm going to work, because I get free Starbucks. And I sit down in the bathroom. I sit and I pee in the morning because I don't want to stand. I sit and I fucking, my eyes are open a little bit, and I sit there and I smoke weed while I shit. And the stove. The shower is on. The shower is on. It's getting hot, and I keep it going. I sit there for like 20 minutes, just sitting on my phone or whatever. I've been done smoking. I sit down, and I'm butt naked, and I get in the shower. I play on my phone, and you got to rub one out, right? I don't know if you guys are fans of rubbing it out in the shower, but that's where I do it. It's just easier. And then I get out and I start my fucking day. That's what I do. And on Saturday, I did a similar routine. I just added logging on to my DraftKings account and putting in a slew of bets. I put in like 7 bets with this $135, and I lost a couple of them, and I won a couple of them, and I was able to use some of those winnings to fuel my big parlay. End of the story. I won like $310. I won like $310, guys. I had a really good night of betting. I won, pretty goddamn good. I think I'm good at betting fights. As of recent, I've been doing well with betting on fights, and I won $310, okay? I got cut from work, all right, the day after I had driven 6.5 hours to Maine for a $20 spot to perform for 12 people. I got cut from work after making $70 in 2 hours. And then I go home, go to bed in the middle of the day, wake up in the evening, just bet money. All I did was place bets and made $310. Roughly what I probably would have made if I had stayed at work. Money that, as I was driving home, I was like, fuck, I should have just toughed it out. I kind of need the money. Now I have to rely only on Sunday. This would have been good, whatever, even if I made $100. And, thinking about it, my first table, my only table I had, gave me $70. So I probably would have made, around $300. But I didn't have to work, guys. I didn't have to do shit. And what a valuable lesson that was. What a valuable lesson that was. I gave my absolute all in the endeavor of going out to Maine. I did the whole thing. I spent money. I did a great show. I stuck around. I hung out with the comics. I stuck around to the end of the show. I did the whole fucking thing, guys. And I felt good about it. And then I remembered that I had to go to work on Saturday, and I didn't want to at all. And I got cut. I got sent the fuck home, got paid money for doing nothing, just knowing about a sport, and then bang, I made money. And then I woke up today, Sunday for me. I woke up and tired, of course, went to work, and I worked one shift and made like $360. So, moral of the story, guys, you don't need to work that hard, okay? You don't need to work that hard. Yes, I get it. Some of you have families. Some of you have aspirations, right? Some of you have pets. Some of you have other things that you're working for. There's something very valuable in taking life by the dayful, right? Living for just the day. Yes, you got a plan. There's certain things you got to plan, right? You don't want to be destitute, right? You don't want to be this. You don't want to be that. There's things happening in the future. I'm moving in April. I got to figure out where I'm going to go, how I'm going to get there, what kind of money it's going to take, right? There's plenty of things that you got to plan for. But there's also a lot of things that you don't. You know? There's a lot of times you got to it's almost better to just worry about today. What can we do today? There's nothing we can do about what happened yesterday, and what we do today may influence what we do tomorrow, but it also might not, okay? And I don't want to work with might and may. What we can definitely control is what we're doing right now, today. What is going to get us closer, or what is going to move us forward in whatever pursuit we're trying to attach ourselves to, because we cannot be pursuitless animals. Do you understand that? The human has to have a pursuit. If there is no, even one that they don't believe in, like me, right? Even one that is so far-fetched and futile that people will laugh at you when you do it, and you treat it in a way that it's going to happen, right? That's kind of almost a full circle of the episode here. You treat it in a way that it's going to happen, but so many people do that and it doesn't, right? That's what's scary. So many people treat whatever thing that they're trying to do with integrity, and they do it a certain way, and they don't make it there. And the people that this happens to are the ones who end up getting very bitter. They end up influencing other people to not go in that route in any way, shape, or form. I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be an author, but I couldn't do it. It didn't happen, and I'm a teacher, so I'm going to tell you how hard it is to make it happen, and that you should just get a job at an agency if you want to write, or teach like I am. But if you want to write, just get a job for some company writing contracts or whatever. Don't try to write scripts. Don't try to write books, poetry, journalists. Don't try to do any of that shit, because it's this is the reality of the world, though, guys. You guys all have had that teacher or that guidance counselor or that coach that didn't make it where they thought that they could have or where they wanted to, and they want to discourage any other person of doing that. And here's the thing, guys. It works. It works because it's very illogical to go against, for a lot of people, it seems illogical to go against a person that has experienced the same things or some of the same things that you may experience in that field, right? If you talk to a professional fighter, right, who was a great fighter, whatever, but never got the big fight, never got whatever, okay? And he has to coach people because now he's over the hill. He can't make a run at the title. His best days are behind him, so now he has to coach people. and he is going to, if he's negative about the whole experience, he's going to impute his bitterness to his pupils, and especially the ones that he thinks either have no potential or they remind him of him. And this is how it goes in life. And so many people get talked out of their desires, out of their plans, out of whatever, because everyone has their own limitations, their own risk aversions, and ability to tolerate risk. Everyone has their own of that. So it's tough. It's tough to navigate these things, but I would say the best way to do it is to treat whatever the fuck you're doing as a legitimate job, even if it doesn't seem that way. That's what I would say. That being said, I have King Kong nuts, okay? I am ballsy, just like Schwarzenegger said when he's holding that cigar. I smoke my stogies in the house. I don't have to find the hiding spot like you. That's me, motherfuckers. I got King Kong donkey nuts, and I'm going to be swinging them over my shoulder like a homeless bag when I'm living out of my car because I refuse to give up on this stupid pipe dream. Oh, man, guys. It is Monday, okay? It is Monday. I, for whatever reason, went on, this was a real stream of consciousness episode, I guess we can call it, because I really didn't, sometimes, especially when I have to do an episode after work or after whatever, it's tough for me to get out, and it's tough for me to make it happen, and I'm just tired, and I don't want to do it sometimes, and it's like, it's such a daunting task, but sometimes I just come on here, and I just go. And there's some things that I was thinking about and some other things that weren't, and they just pop up in the moment. And I think it makes for great single-person banter, especially when you guys realize that I am in an apartment alone talking to myself. I always think about when I move and if whatever job I get won't allow me to have a one-bedroom or whatever, wherever I move, if I need roommates, it's going to be weird. Because especially if I go to New York, because everybody's close and on top of each other, motherfuckers are going to be hearing me. I'm sure the people next door already hear me here, but in a big 5-bedroom apartment where there's a bunch of us living, it's going to be even weirder. But fuck 'em. That's what I say. Fuck 'em. By all means, by any means, you got to get it done. You got to do it. But tonight was just a big, or for you guys this morning, was just a fucking talking session. A talking session. That's all it was. Didn't want to get anything in specific out to you. Maybe I did. It wasn't on purpose. Don't think that I'm some smart fucking whatever, because I'm not. I just know how to talk shit and ramble on for an hour twice a week, and some people listen and most don't. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to leave you to the rest of your day. As far as dates go, I'm going to be at the at Revival Brewery in Providence, Rhode Island this Friday. It's, what time does the show start? Maybe 8 o'clock? I don't remember. Maybe I'll find out for you on Thursday. And, of course, there's a fucking, you got to buy a ticket and whatever. But, yeah, do that. If you want to come, do it. Revival Brewery is a nice place. You support my boy Wale. He's given me an opportunity, and it would be great if there were some people that showed out for it. And I think that's it, motherfuckers. I'm done. Talk to you Thursday. Peace. Oh, me again. Follow the show. Subscribe on the YouTube. Buy me a coffee. Use the links. Bye-bye.